paying attention because, I mean, just think of what's going on with the pace of technological change. People taking notice, and who's been out there talking about it over the last couple decades is the transhumanist community. So more people are, I think, going to be coming to organizations like WTA and Methuselah Foundation, Singularity Institute with questions, so I think that is important. Now, just before we get into some more viewer questions here, I just want to briefly ask you about how is that going with the WTA now that you are on the board. If you are at liberty to say anything, I know there was discussion of kind of a rebranding or new name, something like that. How's that going?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of discussion about rebranding across every transhumanist-oriented organization right now. I think that's a really good idea because any successful organization will go through several rebranding cycles as they reach prominence. Within the WTA board, I don't recall any serious conversations regarding rebranding recently. I mean, and the Methuselah Foundation, I know they're talking about that, but I mean, I haven't really seen it.
What do you think about the Immortality Institute? We're going through a process now where we're voting on or kind of polling to see if we should change the name of the Immortality Institute.
Yeah.
What's your idea on that?
This has come up ever since we founded the Immortality Institute. Every couple of years.
Yeah.
And I mean, I really, really think it's tempting to want to water it down, to make it easier to bring up to your grandma or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think that really now is the time. Even back then, we thought then was the time to come forward with this bold name, Immortality Institute. And a lot of people should recognize the value that the Immortality Institute has had as a behind-the-scenes social networking utility. And a lot of people, for instance, some major names in the Methuselah Foundation have met each other through Immortality Institute. And I think that the success it's had proves that we should stay with the name. And if we were to water it down, the Immortality Institute would look the same as every other life extension organization out there, a lot of which are just selling snake oil. So I think we have to distinguish ourselves, and Immortality Institute is a bold name that can help do that, and I think we should stay with it.
Yeah, I see your points there, and it has been valuable as far as connecting people behind the scenes. I think if we stick with the Immortality Institute name, then that is what it will remain, is my feeling, is that it will remain kind of behind the scenes, little club with all the big names in life extension and immortality and transhumanism, and we'll be able to connect and we'll have our discussions and stuff, but it won't grow very fast. It'll grow as fast as society accepts the notions of transhumanism and immortalism and stuff like that, which is fairly slow. And a lot of people say, hey, how come the Immortality Institute isn't, doing more? How come you're not, how come it's not a big, huge organization and things like that? And I think a little part of it is the name. It is a bold name. It is a little bit of a hurdle when you're talking with mainstream society. But I guess if members were very comfortable with just being a behind-the-scenes kind of connecting place for everyone to be, that so be it. But I guess we are going through that discussion right now. And a lot of long-term members actually think that it would be best to change the name. But it's good to get your opinion, Michael.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a couple other questions. Let's see. Someone has asked, what are some of the upcoming things planned by the Lifeboat Foundation? Just one or two items that have been going on lately, if you could espouse those.
All right. Well, one of the things we're discussing is doing an online conference, possibly in Second Life or some other virtual environment where the members of the Lifeboat Foundation can come together and talk about existential risk. That's one item. And the second item is that we've been starting to attempt organizing our boards and actually getting committees involved in pursuing specific projects. And the Lifeboat Foundation also needs to go through a process of rebranding. We're looking to raise money to update our website, which is definitely in need of updating. And it's moving forward, but I think that we need to do a lot of things that any mature organization should have. For instance, writing out a business plan and having more concrete projects, because this actually ties in with the Immortality Institute thing. I think some of those successful groups have a specific project they're working towards, in the way that the Methuselah Foundation does. So what I want to look for Lifeboat, and what many others are interested in, is finding what one might call like a killer app, like one project that we can call our own that doesn't have too high of a price of entry, but can produce results.
A kinetic comet smasher.
Yeah.
How's that? I gave you a free idea tonight.
Because one of the challenges with Lifeboat is that its scope is so broad. Like
it is broad.
No one's gonna pull out their checkbook and write a check that will launch, a space colony with 1,000 people in it. That's just not gonna happen. So we've done smaller things. For instance, we sponsored a electromagnetic launching competition at the X Prize Games in Arizona last year. So that was an example of a concrete thing that we did.
Yeah.
And I'd see more projects along those lines. We're also looking to, we're trying to raise funds to hire Rob Freitas, the nanotechnology expert, so he can look more seriously into possible countermeasures against out-of-control self-replicating nanobots.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, that gives us a good idea there, a couple of items. And I'm just going to move on to another viewer question here. From Brainbox over in Europe. Hey, thanks for tuning in tonight. That's good to see you here. How can we align our life extension goals with current political issues? Say, there are political barriers, right? There seems to be political resistance to a lot of the extreme life extension ideas, because everyone's afraid of overpopulation and Social Security, what's going to happen there, and social equity and stuff like this. And he says, he suggests that what's the best way? What are some positive things we can talk about that will help overcome those hurdles? Like, say, if we do achieve some extreme life extension, will that reduce healthcare costs? Something that maybe the community could write white papers on. Any ideas on that effect?
Yeah, well, okay. We're talking about, I read that comment earlier, and I was thinking about it. One thing that came out just a couple of days ago, I think, on the MSNBC website, I think it was Arthur Kaplan wrote a op-ed piece on why fears about immortality are improperly grounded. And I was surprised to see a mainstream piece appealing to mainstream thoughts on the notion of radical life extension. And so it shows that it really is edging into the mainstream. I mean, Barbara Walters, 60 Minutes, Aubrey was on both of those. It shows it's edging into the mainstream. So yeah, we do need to connect up our, what some consider far out goals with modern political concerns. And one of those is simply increasing human longevity and health. And I think that the Methuselah Foundation is wise to this because they look at traditional anti-aging associations like American Association for Retired Persons, etc., as not really competitors, but potential sources of collaboration or that sort of thing. And I think that we need to mold our rhetoric to appeal to mainstream concerns and political concerns, and that can start right with the listeners of this program.